What up, team? It is MurderInc here. Today we're talking about the Hex Rebalance. Is it enough? Is it worth it? Let's dive right into it. Alright guys, so as we all know, Hex is being rebalanced. Thank you. But is it enough? That's the question. That's what we're here today to discuss here. Now, as far as the Hex rework goes, just in case people aren't aware, once Hex is on the target, it's going to deal additional damage based on the damage you're dealing to any target here. So what does that mean? If you hit one target, you're going to deal 10% of that damage to all of the other enemies that do in fact have Hex debuff on them. It's going to ignore defense, all of that good stuff. Or if it's an AoE attack, it's going to do 2%. Now, honest opinion after testing this out, it's too little. What I would have personally done is made it 25% and 10%. Maybe they did some testing, I know, good joke, and thought that was too much. I personally don't think it's too much after kind of testing things out in different areas of the game. Yes, you do have Geomancer that can proc a billion attacks, I understand, but it's just not going to add up to enough damage to make it worth bringing in a Hex champion. Now, what do I mean by that? The issue I have with Hex is, think about the current Hex champions we have. There's only one that really stands out here. So quickly going over the list here, we have Cleopteryx, Mythrala, Ruel the Huntsman, Thylesia, Vildrax as far as AoE goes. Then we have Thea, of course, Pulse-Ring, Urtica, all of those really good champions, but the problem is it has to be justified as far as the damage Hex is going to bring to the table with the rest of these champions kits here. Now, if you don't know offhand, you can definitely open up the index in your game and just look at the champions and the Hex champions that I didn't mention here. Only a few of them have decent at best synergy. The champions that kind of stand out are going to be Ruel and Mythrala. Thankfully, Mythrala is a reward from the Hydra. If you do Hydra enough, you're going to gain enough fragments to unlock Mythrala, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. The issue is the other champions, they really don't stand out. So if they really want to make an impact with this Hex rebalance, they need to give us, the players, more champions with Hex that also do something useful, something kind of like Mythrala's kit, but add a block debuff, add something like increased speed, add a cleanse. It seems like Mythrala is going to be an anomaly of a champion that we do get for free. She was very good compared to a lot of the other champions we do get as rewards here. We don't yet have an announcement for the next Hydra fragment champion. I've been told there's going to be one. Maybe they go back on that, maybe they go forward on that, who knows. But I really think if they want this Hex thing to work out in their favor, they have to put in more effort. So what do I have going on here on my screen? I'm going to show you a Hydra run, probably one of the best places to show this. Can you use it in player versus player? Probably. You probably can. So I'm quick going to show you after we apply Hex to everybody, and don't get resisted. Okay, got resisted on one champion here. We're using Trunda. We're buffing everything up. We also have Little Miss Annie here. So we're going to use the Broken A2. What does Broken A2 mean? If you aren't familiar, this is counted as a single target ability, right? So we're going to use this on, unfortunately, we can't guarantee that we hit this guy, even though it has weak affinity. So let's go here. So we have 18,000 damage, 5,000, 1,000 damage. That was a decently big hit, but the numbers, it's just not going to justify it. Now let's use this A3. That's a very hard hitting single target ability here. Okay, so 35,000 damage there. We just saw it. Is that going to be enough to bring in a champion? Let's just exclude Mythrala because Mythrala is such a good champion here. If you have Mythrala, it's probably worth taking advantage of this Hex situation here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to kill, so this is going to be a slightly annoying rotation. I'm going to have to tap A1s here, but this goes back to my earlier point of, is it really going to be worth it? I hope so. I hope they add more Hex champions to the game. I really think that's the plan, and that's what needs to happen here. If they don't do that, then I don't know. I just don't see this Hex rework really panning out for them. Now, I really shouldn't be complaining. Why shouldn't I be complaining? Because Hex was terrible before. I mean, there were some uses. Thea's the hardest AoE champion nuker in the game, whatever you want to call it. If Hex is applied and her conditions are met, so she's going to be even better. The problem is the setup's really hard with that. You need to dedicate a Hex champion like Mithrala, then Thea the Tomb Angel, and it's just defense down, weaken. You can already see how we're running out of slots here. So all of that aside, is it going to be worth champions that do AoE damage, have War Master, Brogni, Geomancer? The answer is I don't know. Is someone going to make a team utilizing Hex with someone like Mithrala where it makes a lot of sense to use it? It's very possible. I am not going to write anything off of the table as of right now. You know what, let's just go ahead and defense down and weaken since there's no block damage up. Okay, let's buff here. Now we'll see what the AoE is like when Trunda gets another turn. Okay, now we have our Hex. Okay, we got Hex on 1, 2, and 3 champions. Boost the turn meter. Okay, Trunda, of course, I used it. Now we just got A1. So 6,000, 4,000, 10,000 damage each. Nothing to write home about by any means here. Now we can use this. This hits pretty hard. Is it going to do much? 4,000, 3,000, not so much because we have defense up. It is what it is here, so it looks like we're going to have to keep cycling through. Let's just go ahead and cleanse because why not? Steal the buffs, go for it. Now let's take them off here. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I want to try to kill the left head. That's going to be the main problem one. Okay, now we can use the A2, or do we wait? Let's just use it. So once again, the damage is pretty high, but in my opinion, it's just not high enough. Okay, now we have to get Little Miss Annie alive, and the worst head in the game has consumed her. We have no revive. This is probably going to be GG. So basic point that I'm trying to explain here, it's pretty clear what I'm trying to explain, but just in case people haven't understood yet, Hex is good. This was a good change. Is it enough? At the moment, I personally don't believe so. I do think they have to add a lot more value of the current Hex champions to make this anywhere close to being relevant. And I already explained my reasoning on that. I just don't think these Hex champions have enough to offer on their own. So I'm curious about your feedback. What type of Hex champion do you want to see? Assuming that everyone's going to eventually, if they don't already have, someone like a Mithrala filling up the slot of cleanser, support type champion. She also throws out poisons, which can help for sure here. So with all of that in mind, what type of Hex champion do you want? Personally, my kind of go-to for what I want to see in a Hex champion is someone that applies defense down and Hex, or a defense down, weaken, and Hex. Now, of course, that would be a legendary. They're probably not going to make it a fusion. It would be a little bit too strong. I'm not even going to say maybe they're going to surprise us because we all know that I'm dreaming hardcore here. So that's going to conclude this video on the Hex changes, my personal thoughts about it. Do I think it's enough? No. Do I think it's better than it currently was? Yes, because, I mean, who was using Hex before this? Honestly, outside of the Hydra, where they kind of tried to force Hex into the Hydra, making it so you can hit that mischief head that was a problem for me in the run I was just trying to show you here. Outside of all of that, Hex just didn't play a big role in this game. Is it going to play more of a role now? It's definitely possible. To the extent they were aiming for, I do believe they missed the mark like I already said there, but this is why I want your guys' feedback. So that's going to conclude this video here today. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all in my next upload.